Hi everybody, I'm Igor Smirnov, international grandmaster and a chess coach. In this video lesson, I'm going to tell you how to prevent blunders. It's one of the most often asked questions and something that I deal with all the time as a coach. It's a very important topic because a blunder usually brings an immediate loss. In beginners' games, blunders are the main causes which determine the outcome of the game. Okay, let's start. I will give you some important practical recommendations which will help you prevent blunders. First, I will explain these ideas to you, and then I will illustrate them with concrete example. Let's clarify the cause of blunders first. Chess players make blunders because they focus their attention on their own plans and ideas while playing and ignore the opponent's ideas. Though it's obvious both players have an equal say in the game, and we should think about our opponent as well as about ourselves. How do you do it practically? The first principle. After every one of your opponent's moves, you should ask yourself, what's the idea of my opponent's move, and what is he going to do on the next move? This idea seems obvious, but a lot of players don't use it at all or only use it occasionally. If you think like this at every move, it will help you a lot. Let's look at the concrete example. I have chosen this position randomly because this idea works in any other positions as well. White played rook fc1, and now black should think, what's the idea of this move and what is white going to do next move? In this situation, we can see that white wants to use the open c file for his rook, and white wants to move the knight somewhere, for example on the d5, or take the b5 pawn with the discovered attack of black's queen. It's a pretty dangerous threat, that's why black played queen e7 to remove the queen from the open file. White played rook c2, preparing to double his rooks on the c line, and black played d5 to attack white's center. I don't comment these moves too much because they are not so important for the topic of this lesson. And then, after an exchange, white win the pawn, but that's not a real sacrifice of the material for black, because right now white has quite a lot of weaknesses, and black hopes to attack them and to take the pawn back soon. f6, and white played queen e4. Let's analyze this position in more detail. As you know, after an opponent's move, you should ask yourself what is the opponent's idea and what is he going to do next move. In the given situation, the idea of queen e4 is to make the new discovered attack with the move d6, taking the a8 rook. It looks like black can stop this threat easily by playing bishop b7. It's a development of the bishop, and black gets the control of this diagonal. Now I'm going to tell you another important idea which will help you prevent blunders. When you have decided which move you are going to make, before making this move on the board, you should look away from the board for a second, then look back on the board and ask yourself which attacking forcing responses the opponent can do after my following move. Why do we need to look away from the board? After a long think, we lose our fresh senses and concentration, so we need to refresh ourselves. That's why it's a very useful recommendation. Some top grandmasters like Ivanchuk and Mamedov do this stuff all the time. Once again, I would like to repeat that we need to think about our opponent's ideas all the time. This principle, thinking about the opponent's forcing responses, is just a concrete way which tells you when and how you should do it. What do I mean by saying the forcing responses? Most often, those are the moves which go forward in the opponent's territory of the board, which give check or take something, or attack something. So we should try to mostly think about these kinds of moves. For example, in this position, if you're playing black and going to play bishop b7, before making this move on the board, you should consider white's forcing aggressive answers. And first, let's focus our attention on the black's territory of the board, trying to find the possible moves of white on this territory. Can white play rook c7? No, white can't, because black will certainly take this rook. Can white play d6? Okay, it's a move which we definitely need to calculate, because black can't take on d6. After that, white can win the bishop. So in this situation, we need to calculate the line bishop takes e4, d takes e7, and then black can take on the f3 with check. So white has to move the king, and then black saves the rook, getting the decisive material advantage. So d6 variation doesn't work for white. Also, in this position, after bishop b7, white has one more sudden taken move forward, knight d4. Using the pin on the e line, white is going to put the knight somewhere on the e6 or on the c6. It will help white to save the d5 pawn and put the knight on the powerful outpost position. These factors will determine white's huge positional advantage. So, into this position, it was very useful for us not to make the move bishop b7 impulsively, but think about our opponent's aggressive responses first. Black played queen f7 in the game to remove the queen from the e-file, and white answered rook ac1. In this position, black has two attractive moves, queen h5 and bishop b7. For example, queen h5 is attacking both of white pawns h3 and f5. It looks really good. But as you know, we should think about white's taking answers first. In this position, white has only one taken move, really, g4. By the way, you can see that this way of thinking doesn't take a lot of time, because typically your opponent has only one or two possible taken moves, and you can detect them quickly. Okay, so after g4, black certainly takes queen takes h3, white will play rook h2, queen g3 is the only move, and this situation looks dangerous for black. The black's queen is nearly captured, white's pieces are very active. For example, after rook c7, white is totally dominating here. So the move queen h5 is bad for black. Once again, our simple question, which taken answers can the opponent make, helps us to find the sudden and very powerful move g4. This means that black should probably play bishop b7 instead. But again, we should think about white's possible taken answers first. And in this situation, white has only one aggressive move on black's territory, rook c7. One more important thing I want to tell you is that when I'm saying that we need to watch out for our opponent's taken moves, it doesn't mean that you should defend all the time. First of all, you should try to attack, find counter blows and realize your plans. Only in the situation when the opponent's threats are really dangerous and you can't ignore them, only then you need to defend. For example, in this position, after the move bishop b7, white really can play rook c7. But it doesn't mean we should be afraid of it. We just need to calculate this line and think if it is good for us or not. In this situation, black has a good move rook ac8, which helps black keep the material, because if white takes the queen, black can take the rook on the c1 with check first, and only then recapture on the f7, getting two rooks against the queen. In this situation, two rooks are much stronger and black actually has the winning position. It means white has to take on c8, and after rook takes c8 and bishop takes, black has finally finished the development. White has a lot of weaknesses: f5, d5, d3, the weak position of the white's king. That's why, after several next moves, black obtained the very good position, and he actually won the game quite simply. I won't show you the game until the end, because the ending isn't so important for our topic, how to prevent blunders. I just wanted to illustrate how these recommendations which I'm talking about work in practice. Let's make up some conclusions. We have discussed two main things which you need to do to prevent blunders. First, after the opponent's move, you should ask yourself what is the opponent's idea and what is he going to do on the next move. The second, before making the following move on the board, you should look away from the board, then look back and ask yourself which forcing answers your opponent can make. So you have learned what you should do to prevent blunders. Now you should train these things. After some practice, you will start to make them automatically and very quickly, because these recommendations are pretty simple. Usually, your opponent has few possible forcing moves, or even has no forcing moves at all. That's why in the real game you can find out the opponent's ideas very quickly. How can you train these things? The first and very good way is to play training games against the computer. The computer is a great attacking player. It finds all the attacking possibilities. If you miss something, the computer will definitely show it to you. You shouldn't be confused about the result of these training games. Computers play very strong, and you'll probably lose all of your games. This really does matter. Your only task is to not make blunders in these games. This is the first recommendation. The second piece of advice I would like to give you is that you should solve simple tactical puzzles by looking at them from the other side of the board. For example, if it is white's turn, you should look at the board from black's side. This way of training is very effective. While solving the tactical tasks, you will train to find the forcing moves. While looking at the position from the other side, you will train to think about the opponent's threats and improve your prophylaxis thinking. As a final conclusion, I will tell you the last thing. It's much more important to improve one's thinking process rather than get new pointless knowledge all the time. Improving of your thinking system allows you to find the best move in any position. That's why it's very powerful stuff. That's why it could give you real progress quite quickly. If you want to know more about an effective way of training, you may study my chess course, The Grandmaster Secrets. Please click this link to know more about it. Thanks for your attention. I wish you to stop making blunders, and I wish your opponents to continue making them. Goodbye.